Welcome back, my Tech Mixers. We've got another New York Comic-Con update. This time we're talking about Ghostbusters. No, not Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters or Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters. Yeah, we're talking about Ghostbusters. The afterlife is coming out soon.
Oh, he's technically Mexican and 3/4 American, but for 3 generations he's got that nationality. Great-great-grandpa headed south, whose kids had kids then turned around. It's not what the show's about, but it's why he's Mexican technically. He also was raised in New Mexico, lived in Guadalajara for 2 years, speaks fluent Spanish with a bachelor's degree in language and taquito.
Well, I watched the Ghostbusters Afterlife panel, and I gotta say, I'm pretty excited for this movie. I think from what I've heard other people say, and from what I saw from the panel, I think it's going to be pretty good. I really like the Ghostbusters movies. I really like some of the Ghostbusters movies. The original 2 are so good. They just have a wonderful cast, and the writing is phenomenal, and the story just thrusts you into this world that is just so unique, and it's just such a fun ride. I mean, all the characters are great, but like Bill Murray just stands out as just so funny and also just the worst in the funniest way possible. His interviewing of his psych students is just, it's so good. And for almost as long as I can remember, the original Ghostbusters movie contains my favorite joke of all time. I love the delivery, and I think it's just peak comedy. The way that it's set up, the bait and switch, and it is such a punchline. This right here.
Everything was fine with our system until the power grid was shut off by Dickless here.
They caused an explosion.
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Break it up. All right. Well, that's what I heard.
I will never get tired of that joke. It's good. So, I love Ghostbusters. I love Ghostbusters 2. It's a pretty good sequel. It's not as good as Ghostbusters 1, but it's not bad. It's equally charming and just further builds this ghost universe that in a really nice way. It's not quite as tight of a script as Ghostbusters 1, so the pacing gets a little muddled, but Ghostbusters 2 is a good movie. And they've been trying to make a third film for a very long time, since Ghostbusters 2 came out. They've wanted to do another sequel, and it's largely been shot down because Bill Murray was not supportive of the scripts, and I'm okay with that. Because a bad sequel can do a lot more damage than good to a franchise. A bad sequel can often turn a fan base against a property. Rise of Skywalker! Excuse me. And we eventually did get a third movie, and it was a film. I don't want to spend a lot of time here bashing on Ghostbusters, but man, did it fall short. I have nothing against women in lead roles, as a lot of people tried to say about the detractors when this film came out. That's not the problem with the movie. The problem is that it's objectively unfunny. Like, all of the humor in this film is slapstick, and like none of the humor in the original Ghostbusters is. Yes, there is physical comedy, but it's story driven, and there's a reason for all of it. And this just felt like just a completely different thing. I think most people agree that they didn't enjoy this one, which was a real disappointment. So, naturally, we're pretty skeptical of another reboot, sequel, whatever. But the more I read about Ghostbusters, the more I'm convinced that this is not a soulless cash grab. It really seems like the people made this movie because they had a good idea and not because someone said, hey, make another Ghostbusters. For example, the director, who is the son of the original director of the first two, said this.
My whole life I was asked, would you make a Ghostbusters movie? And I made the incorrect, egotistical assumption that people wanted to see my Ghostbusters movie. When the truth is, what we all wanted to see was a Ghostbusters movie. We wanted another Ghostbusters movie. We wanted to get back into Ecto-1 again. We wanted to pick up the proton pack again. And that's where it came from. You know, I've said this story a lot, and maybe some of you have heard it before, but look, there was a moment where I just saw this girl in my head. She was 12 years old, and she was picking up a proton pack in the middle of a field, and I didn't know who she was. And then I saw this teenage guy, and he was in Ecto-1, and he was drifting through wheat fields, and I didn't know who he was. And when Harold Ramis passed away, I suddenly knew who they were. They were the Spenglers, and I knew I needed to tell this story.
So that's comforting. Also, his father, sitting right next to him, was involved in the production of the film. He was on set every day giving his son pointers, too. So that's a plus. The last one was directed by someone else who has made good movies. It's just, this one wasn't. So it feels like their heart is in the right place, and they're trying to make something that they are passionate about. And that is like the first step of the keys to a successful movie. It's passion. If you have a director who wants to make something that they care about, you know, that's always a good sign. You know, it doesn't always turn out to be a masterpiece, but at least those films have soul. So I'm looking forward to the film. It has a very interesting cast. I mean, Paul Rudd is charming as heck. He's no Bill Murray, but he shouldn't have to be. He's a different character, and I think it's very interesting that they've, instead of a wizened cast of skilled comedians, have gone for a child actor cast. This obviously reflects some modern trends with shows like, you have Finn Wolfhard, who's literally in Stranger Things, and the It movies, and I think it's a perfectly reasonable path to take for a film like this, because you can't get all of the original cast back, and at this point, I don't think you would want to. It would feel like that to me would feel like more of a cash grab, to just, oh, hey, here's everybody, but also they're really old and they're still doing the same thing. I think it's a lot more interesting to see an actual sequel of, oh, these are the descendants of the original cast, and tell a new story, which is what I'm excited about. It really feels like Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to be its own thing. It's going to be a new experience. I guarantee there's going to be Easter eggs and references to the last films, and that's fine, as long as it has its own identity. And it really does look like it's going to. If we could get a little baby cameo from Rick Moranis in this movie, because he said he's doing acting again now, and that if they could pull that off for this movie, that would just be that would be the creme de la creme, mon ami, monsieur. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this movie in theaters. The lucky people who attended Comic-Con in person got to see the film there. That they ended the panel after like 30 minutes of talking with saying, "Hey, we're going to show you some clips. Psych, we're going to show you the whole thing." And of course, that part's not included in my digital pass, so I don't know why I bought it. No, as much as I would have loved to be able to see it this early, it's the kind of movie that theaters are made for. I don't watch rom-coms or kids movies in theaters. I go to theaters for big spectacle, action, adventure movies like this. This is a perfect movie to see in theaters, so I'm definitely gonna go do it in theaters. I've seen enough that I have hope that it will be good, and I'm excited to. I'll be disappointed if it's bad, but I'm pretty confident that that's not going to be the case. I have a really good feeling about this one. Now, but to prove that I'm not just shilling, I do have some concerns as well. The director also said this.
We wanted to make a movie that opened the universe to all kinds of stories. I want to see Ghostbusters movies from all of my favorite directors, and we hope that this movie sets the table for that.
Which is fine, but then he also said this.
One other thing. Also, make sure you sit through all of the credits. It would be a crime to leave before the end.
Pretty clearly implying that this movie is setting up a Ghostbusters cinematic universe. Like, I don't know what other conclusions you could draw from those comments, which in and of itself is not a bad thing. Cinematic universes do work, and it is the new trend. Obviously, every studio is going to want their own cinematic universe. The problem is when that setup drags down the movie on its own. For example, The Mummy. Most of this movie was just, hey, we're going to do a monster universe, instead of, hey, this is a story that we wanted to tell. Oh, and by the way, it'll also be part of a universe. The former is a bad way of doing it, and the latter is a good way of doing it. If the films inside of a universe don't work as a standalone film, there's no point in making it. And so that's what I'm worried about. But it could be fine. And if it's done well, it could be pretty cool to have a Ghostbusters cinematic universe. That's something that could easily be spread anthology style. There could, if there's ghosts in one part of the world, there's going to be ghosts all over the world, and you could have lots of different Ghostbusters teams. That's perfectly reasonable. And if it's done well, more power to you. So bottom line, the movie seems like it's going to be good. The cast looks good. It looks like it's just going to be a good time. So, go see Ghostbusters. If I see it and it's bad, I'll tell you to not see it. But for now, let's go have fun again. So I ain't afraid of no ghosts. And who are you gonna call? Everybody? The Ghostbusters. Yay!